Okay, I'm recording now. And the first thing, if you remember the floor plan on level 0, we have these grid lines. So these are numbers 1, 2, and we have A, B, C, D, and E. I have to delete this. Okay, I know. So this is the plan. We created all these stats, and as in corners, we always have something more, some structural elements. So those are not structural elements, but this is something structural. So it's so we have this square column, which is 6 by 6, and these are 2 by 6. Okay, so there's a difference between the 6 by 6 and the 2 by 6. And today we're going to change some of those 2 by 6 for these ones, because when we are opening a window or a door, we need something structural here in the frame. Okay, so probably we will delete one of those, and we will include one of the 6 by 6 columns. Anyway, I think we have to start doing this, so I'll do it again. If we open the south elevation, then we're going to use extrusion to do these beam systems, or maybe we can create, no, let's do it as we did last time. We're going to create extrusion building component. You remember the component model in place, and we are going to start with this grid line D. Okay, so if we open the south elevation, this is the south elevation, and we have to place these beams, or those are rafters in these small elements in roofs are rafters, and we're going to place these rafters here, and then we will mirror, and then we will do this. So we create a component, a model in place. We are just working with this structural framing. And now we are working with extrusion. And if we are working here, if we don't have this message, we pick a plane, we can start working, but the problem is that we don't know where we are. Okay, so I'm going to do something a little crazy like this. Where are we? Then we have to go to the 3D. Well, we're here. And then we can use this and extrude it. Okay, we can do that. But if we, yes. Yeah, you want to, yes, I want. That if we set a plane, I think we control where we are. So it works for me. I don't know. Maybe you can work doing this. You can start drawing. You don't know where you are, and then you open the 3D view. But I prefer, yeah, when I'm working with this, I like to know where I am so that I can control what I'm doing. So let's look again: architecture, component, model in place, structural framing. Okay, extrusion. And we can always set a work plane. So I'm going to set the work plane on grid D. Okay, by default it was on grid A, that's fine, but I want to be on grid D, sorry. So okay, and now I'm going to create a rafter. So rafters are 2 by 6 as well, so it's 2 inches. And then make sure when it's perpendicular, you see that we have this perpendicular and extension. So that's this is not perpendicular, this is not perpendicular. When we have a perpendicular line, we see that. And we need a 6-inch perpendicular, and then we can go perpendicular again, and there you go. So with this, we have this rafter, and now on the 3D, we can edit this, and it's on grid D. So we have to go slightly here until we have this face, and then we have to extend this all the way up to the last truss. There you go. Okay, now we finish model, and on the south elevation we have this. And I think we created this with arrays. Okay, so we can select this. We can select array here, and we have to decide the number of rafters, and we have to move it to the last point. So what is the number of rafters? I don't know. It doesn't matter. We are not calculating structures, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't know, 8. I don't remember how many we did last time. But, and now we have to decide the first point and the last point. So the last point is this, and we have 8 rafters here. If we select this, they are all connected because we have created this as an array. And if we want to move or we want to change out some of them, then I have to do this. We have to ungroup them. Okay, we are not going to do this now, but eventually we will have to do it. So now I select all of them. I click mirror. There are 2 mirrors. So with this one, you have to pick a mirror axis. So you need an axis, and then you have to pick it. So let's do it. So let's click here, mirror, pick axis. So since this is the axis of symmetry here, we can pick this one. And now we have a mirror. If we select the other one, I mean, if we select all these elements, and I select this one, draw axis, then I have to actually draw the axis. So I have to pick this one, and then we go, but I'm drawing this line. Okay, so it's the same effect, but well, there are 2 different mirrors. So that's it. And if we go to the 3D view, now we have this. Okay, so we are going to do this. This is the skeleton of the building. This is the structure. We don't have any envelope yet. Okay, so we only have structural elements. But now we have to create the envelope, the walls. Now we will insert windows and doors, and we're going to create like a porch here. Okay, so we're going to extend the floor, and we're going to extend the roof, and then we're going to create like a covered porch, which is something nice. It's all that always works in especially in houses. Everybody loves porches. And, so to work with the floor, we're going to select edit boundary, and then we're going to extend this boundary until this grid number E. Okay, so I'm going to extend this here. Finish, and then on the 3D view, I have extended the floor. Then on level 0, I'm going to extend those grid lines here. I can copy, or even better, in the 3D view, because I want to copy everything. I want to copy the vertical elements and the truss. So I'm going to select the top view here. If I select wireframe, yeah, I think it's better. So I want to select all these elements. Okay, and I want to copy. And well, that's interesting. It doesn't allow me to copy. Okay, so I can change to level 0, but I have already selected these elements. So if I click the level 0 here, the elements, no, it doesn't keep the selection. Come on. Okay, so I will do it step by step. First, I will select all those. I will copy. and I'm going to select this is the end point of this column. So I'm going to place it on this end point of this column. Okay, and I have to do the same with the truss because I have copied this. And now I have to select all the elements of the truss. The thing is, okay, yeah. I can select all these elements. And then I can copy from this point. If it doesn't work, you have to remove constraint. And now you can move in this direction and here. Okay, so now we have another actually, we don't need this because this is a porch, so we're going to get rid of these vertical elements. We only need these elements on the corners. And then we need to extend those. Look at this. If I select this, I cannot work with them. So that's why I have to ungroup. And if it's ungrouped, then I can extend this. Okay. So I'm going to ungroup all these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I keep selecting. Remember, if you want to select many things, you have to hold control. You have to press control and keep it hold. And then you have this plus sign. Okay. And now ungroup. And now we can select all of them and extend them. With the top view and align, I think it would be easier. Can we extend? The problem is that if we select two of them, we cannot control them. So we have to extend them one by one. Okay, why am I doing this? Because now if I use my favorite command, align, I can select this and then I can extend all these elements easily. Select first this and then that. First, second, first, second, first, second. Okay. I have done this to show you another command, but the best thing is we can do the first one until the end, and then we can do the array and then the mirror. So it's not okay. Just by using different commands, I think you will learn something new. Okay, so now we have a nice porch here. We will need a door here. We will make it later. But now everything is transparent. Okay, so even if we use hidden line, this is we don't have any opaque element. Everything is a structure, and we don't have this. What are we going to do? We're going to create a wall. So if you go to architecture wall, well, we have by default we have different walls here. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to create different layers or how to create your own wall. Okay, so let's select, I don't know what you have by default. If you have this generic 8 or generic 12 or whatever, we are going to edit type, and now we are going to duplicate. Remember that every time you edit that type, you have to duplicate, and we have to name this, I don't know, barn wall 1. I don't know, there will be another one. And now we have to edit the structure. So what is the structure? We are going to create a wall that has an empty, or so it has a cavity because we have these stats. So the wall will have stats between it, between two layers, and we have two finishes, indoor finish and outdoor finish. So it's something very easy. We have a plywood, then an air cavity, and then another plywood. So we're going to insert and insert two different layers. The core boundary, it doesn't matter that much. Okay, so it's not relevant. So this is not a structural element. We're going to call this finish. And then by category, this is going to be plywood. Okay, plywood sheeting. Okay, and what's the thickness? Let's say an inch. Then in the inside, because this is the exterior side and this is the interior side. Here we're going to do something symmetrical, so it doesn't matter, but just to make sure that you have the interior and exterior side here. So we're going to create another plywood. 1 inch. This is a finish. And now inside, sorry, this is finish. So it's finish, plywood, finish, plywood. And inside, we're going to have this thermal air layer. This is where the thermal insulation will go. Now we're going to create something with air, okay? But usually we have stats, thermal insulation, thermal insulation, and then two sheets of plywood. So this is gonna be air. You type air, and we have air here. And the thickness, that's important. It has to be 6 because the stats, the width of the stat is 6 inches. Okay, so we make sure that this air layer, it's 6 inches so that the stat is just between these two finish layers. Okay, so this is the easiest wall we can create. 1 inch, 6 inches, 1 inch, plywood, air, plywood. We click OK. We have already duplicated this. So this is the barn wall 1. Okay. And this is the barn wall 1 here. If you, now it's in that list. So in walls, we have a list of walls. Okay. And this is the one that I have just created. And if you edit type, and if you click here preview, you see the layers of that. Okay. So we have two plywood elements, and then we have air here. Okay. And now we have to do this on on level 1, and we're going to create that wall, the basic wall 1. And if we, I don't want this finish face, I want the core center line. Okay, because now we want this to be, this rafter to be in the middle between the external layer and the internal layer. So if we go this way, well, we are doing join elements, so you can see that. And now this is what we wanted. We have the 2 layers, and then we have the rafter inside. Sometimes this is that bothers, I mean, the thickness, the air, the line weight of these lines. It helps you, it doesn't help you understand what you're doing. So if you click here, follow the mouse, you have to click here, the thin lines. Okay, so if you click here, everything is thin. There you go. So sometimes this is better to understand what we are doing. Okay, if we click here again, we have this. So I don't know, for me it's easier working with thin lines. I don't know, you can continue the wall, but I think if we do this and join another wall here and join, and finally we don't have walls here because this is the porch, so the wall is in this phase and join, and now we can use trim. You select that wall, the wall, we select trim, select this one and this one, and we trim. Okay, now what is the level of this wall? So that wall starts on level 0 and the top constraint is not connected. What is our height? It has to be this level, and this is level 12. Okay, so we can, I think by default, it goes until level 12. But if we, now be careful because we can select the stat or we can select the wall. Okay, so make sure that you select the wall and we connect all these walls to level 12. Level 12. Okay, I think I showed you, I applied some transparency in these graphic display options. If I type 0, so no transparency, and I apply, I don't see the stats. Well, I see the stats because but they are not there. Okay, so I have this envelope, and now I want to open Windows. And again, if we are working with this kind of construction, this wood frame or timber frame. Right. Timber frame construction. Okay, so we have to understand how this works. Okay, so we have this timber frame, and you see when we open windows or doors, we need 2 vertical elements and a horizontal element. Okay, so this is a window. We can open a window here. So when we're using this kind of frames, if we want to open windows, we need to, yep, and the elements defining the opening, they are structural elements. Okay, they are not thin. They are not like these rafters that are too thin. So we'd better do something like that. So this is what we're going to do. We are going to open windows, especially when we are working with huge openings like this one. For small openings, yeah, we can have rafters 2x6 or studs 2x6. That's fine. But if we have a huge element, then we need to reinforce the structure in vertical and horizontal. So let's do this. So first, we're going to start with small windows. And if we are working with windows and with this kind of structure, instead of opening, okay, so let's do it something wrong. So let's insert windows, and to insert a window, the all the families that we have by default in Revit are horrendous. Okay, so I always use the fixed window because it's the less ugly. So let's select this one and open a window here. To open a window, we need a host. Okay, so you can't place a window in the middle of nowhere. You need a wall. If you don't have a wall, you can't open windows. But okay, instead of placing windows randomly, we have to select where we want to place that window. And if we look at the level 0, if we have already these two elements, these two stats, the best way to place a window is between these two elements. And I want to go from the floor to the roof, because here we have a structural element. Okay, so you see in the 3D view, this is a structural element, this is a beam, and this is the floor, this is another structural element. So if the window goes from this floor to this beam, we can do that. So let's do that first, and then we will try different kinds of windows. So on level 0, we are going to work with windows, and we're going to edit type, and we are going to fix or to fit our window in this, between these two elements. So I can, first I need to find out the distance. So I can go to annotate aligned, and from this face to that face, we have 3 feet and 2 inches. Okay. So I want my window, edit type, duplicate, and this is 3 feet 2 inches times 12 feet, because the height is 12 feet from the floor to that beam. Okay, so that's the window, 3 feet 2 inches times 12 feet. Okay, and now I have to change dimensions. What is the height? 12. What is the width? 3 feet and 2 inches. And this is the sill. The sill is the distance between the starting point of the window to the floor level. In this case, I want my window to start just on the floor level. So I have to type here 0. Apply. And now we have the fixed window, this one, and we are going to place this. Again, we cannot place the window in the middle of nowhere. We need a wall, and we need a wall, and we can decide whether we want the glass facing indoors or outdoors. Well, let's do it facing indoors, and make sure that it's just in the middle between these two openings. So we go to the 3D, and we have a nice window here. Okay, so that works well because we have a structural element, it's a stat. It's not this column 6 by 6, but if this is it's not a huge window. It's 3 feet. Well, it's not that small, but I think this goes well. But at least we have something here. It's not in the middle of. We can't open a window here without a structural element at each side of the window. And now we can copy, making sure that we select this face and this face and this one here. Okay, so now we have these openings from the floor up to this level, and it works well. What if we want to create a bigger window? So it's not between two stats. So imagine that we get rid of here. We want to open a window that goes, yeah, we delete all these, and we want a window that starts here and ends there. So then we need a structural element. So I would copy this one here. Then I have to delete the first one. Okay, so now I have I have a structural element here. And then I need another structural element. So I can copy this one. Here, join. And now I delete this one. Okay, so now the frame of this window, it's made of this column and this column. Now I have to find out the distance between these two columns. So I go to annotate from this face to that face. It's 16 feet 6 inches. I create a new type, edit type, duplicate, and now it's 16 feet 6 inches, and the height is 12 feet, so it goes well. And I have to change this. The width is 16 and 6. Click OK. So now in this window, we have the 3 feet by 12 and the 16 by 12. So I can place it here. And now look at this, it's not aligned. So I can select this one and this, and now it is aligned. It's perfect. So there you go. If we look at other consistent colors, yeah, here we understand. And I always like transparency because that makes me understand. So something very light. Okay. So now we see this. Okay, but that's the idea. We have windows, we need a frame. In this kind of construction, if we are working with brick or concrete masonry units or whatever, but if we are working with this timber frame construction, we always need structural elements at the edge of the window. And if we are going from the floor to that beam, that's fine. But if we want to open a window here in the middle of these two, of this here, something smaller, let's do this now. we are going to work to with another window. We are going to start with these 3, and we are going to create another edit type, duplicate, and it's 3 feet 2 inches times 3 feet 2 inches. So it's a square window. And now this is 3 feet 2 inches, and okay. So now again, we can place the window here, but is it the right place? It's not, because it's not aligned here. Well, I have to do this. Okay, let's do this in level 2 because it's better. So it's window, the 3232. Okay, why don't we see this? Yep. We don't see that window because the sill is 0. So if we place the sill height at 3 feet, 3 inches, no, sorry, 3 feet. There you go. Okay, so the sill is the distance between the top floor until the window. But it's not aligned here. So that's why we need to go to level 0. And yeah, now the window, it's here, it's not aligned. So let's use align this and this. And now it's good because if we look at the elevation, we see that the window is between 2 rafters here, or 2 studs, sorry. Okay, so if we are working with this kind of construction, we cannot open the window here between, no, it has to be limited by these 2 rafters, and we're going to need something structural, something horizontal here and there. Okay, so that's the next step. Do you need me to repeat anything, or?
I'm all set.
Okay, great. So I keep going. So as I told you, we have in vertical, we have these elements, and that's good because that defines the edge of the window. But we need something here. We need something structural horizontally on the top and at the bottom of the window. How can we do that? We can insert a beam. If we go to architecture or structure, are there beams? Yeah, we have this. I don't know if you have these elements by default. Well, in the event that you don't have these beams, these wooden beams, I will do it. I will create my own element by using this architecture component. So let's do it. So we can select a component, model in place. It's going to be a structural framing because everything is a structural framing here. And now we are going to use extrusion. Okay, and we have to set the work plane. So we can set the work plane in grid 1. I think it will work. Okay, so now it works. So I have to go from this point to that point, and then we can go 6 inches, 6 and 6. And now we have to find where we are. Okay. So if we are here to finish. Okay, that can be, well, no, don't do that. So we have to extend this until the edge of this face, and then we have to make this here. Okay, and now we can copy. Okay, so now we have structural elements limiting the window. We have the stats, and we have these horizontal elements. So that's a way to open these kind of windows. So anytime we need a window like that, we can imagine that we want this. We can extend this element up to this point, and this element up to this point. And we can place different windows there. We copy this one. Okay. So we could copy all these windows like this. Well, usually there's a criteria, and if we look at the masters, because well, we can have big windows or small windows, but where do I open big windows and where do I open small windows? Okay, we can say we have a living room. We like a big window because we have probably the living room isn't the best place of the house, and we have a nice view. And but if we have a kitchen or if we have a bathroom, we can use these small windows. Well, that's fine. Yeah, why not? But if we look at the masters, and who are the masters? Great architects. And who is the greatest architect in the history of the 20th century? Well, I don't know. But one of them for sure, it's Frank Lloyd Wright. Frank Lloyd Wright. Okay. And Frank Lloyd Wright has what they call Usonian houses. Okay. So Usonian houses are humble houses. They are not huge. They are small, tiny houses for a family or a couple, and they all have the same. They are all alike. And what is it? They have big openings facing south, and we have small openings facing north. And then they have overhangs just to provide the shade in summer. With these two basic ideas, this guy was able to build these wonderful houses. There's one in New Hampshire. It's the Zimmermann House. Okay, so this is in New Hampshire. And as you can see, this is the south elevation. it has these vertical windows, and all this south elevation is made of glass. But if we look at the north, I want to, okay, so this is the north elevation. So in the north elevation, we have a brick wall with tiny windows here. Okay, so this is a good option. So you need to find where the south is, and then as a default decision, so if we don't want to think about it, so let's open big windows to the south and small windows to the north. That will be the, and then yeah, if we have a bathroom, so we don't need, in the bathroom, we don't need a window like this, unless you are open-minded. But okay, so that's another idea. You can place bathrooms and kitchens to the north and living rooms and bedrooms to the south. So that's the, this is what we should try to do. Okay, so we need to, first we need to understand the orientations of the house, and then let's use the south elevation, because in cold countries, south, it's a good orientation because we have a lot of sunlight. But in the north, we don't have any sunlight. So north is cold, south can be warm. Okay, so that's the, we are not considering orientations here, but just as a piece of advice, keep that in mind. So you can, if you are designing a single family house, just try to copy, or just try to get inspired by Frank Lloyd Wright, because if you are working in New England, and if you are trying to design something good, this idea always works. Okay, so this is the living room, so you have small openings to the north and big openings to the south, and there is always a fireplace in the core of the house. If you look at the plan, Zimmermann House plan, okay, so look at this. Those are the small windows to the north, big windows with the living room or the dining room facing south, and there is always a fireplace here in the middle of the house. Okay, so this is the core of the house, the fireplace, and then everything is around the fireplace. Here we have the kitchen, here we have the living room, and big openings to the south, small openings to the north. And this is a key to success. So sometimes we try to create our own design and we don't copy the masters. So it doesn't mean that you have to do exactly like this, but if you have a long lot like that, don't think. So this is a carport here. This is a storage room or a mechanical room or whatever. And we have a chimney, and everything is around the fireplace. Sorry, this is the fireplace. And everything is around this fireplace, the living room, the kitchen, then two bedrooms, the master bedroom and the second bedroom. Okay, we're not doing this. We can, why not? We can try to model this in some of the classworks. Probably I will do that. We will try to model Frank Lloyd Wright house, just to, because we're not teaching Revit, we're teaching wood architecture. So this is what I'm trying here. So by copying good models, you will get to learn how to design good buildings. Anyway, this is a humble barn. This is not even a house, but well, by doing these kind of things, by creating openings that are connected to the structural elements, well, those are good architectural decisions. Okay, we need a door because we don't have any doors here. So I'm going to create a door here at in this front elevation. So let's do it. We are on level 0. We have created the windows here, and now the door will be here. What is the size of a door? Again, if we are working with the doors that Revit has. Bang. Okay, so this is a door that I think a good building deserves more than just a door here in the middle of a wall. So let's try to do something special. And what is something special? Okay, so let's center the door. So we have 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so let's get rid of these two. And we're going to place the door here. What are the default doors that we have in our, okay, so we have this single flash with these measurements, 30 by 80 inches, 30 by 84, 36 by 84, 34. Okay. Let's try to insert something new. If you insert a family, here, I don't know if you have this. If you don't have this, let me know, because I can share with you these families. If you download Revit 2021, I think you don't have the families by default. If you're working with 2020, probably you will have all these families. But if you're working with 2021, you have to look for the families, and then you have to download a file, and then you have to install the families there. I don't know why. So you have to let me know if you have these families. If you don't, I'll share with you my the folder in which I have the families, and you can use the same families that I'm using here. So we are going to use doors. And well, all these doors are filthy and terrible. So we're going to use something that it's not especially ugly. Okay, so especially the residential families are, ugh. Um, let's see the commercial. Door vegetable flash. Um, this is for curtain walls. Those are glass walls. Okay, let's try this door double flash panel. So let's insert this one. Oh, and here we have different options. Okay, the biggest one. So we're going to insert that word here, opening outwards or inwards. Let's say outwards. But actually, I don't want to insert that, because again, I'm going to measure the distance between these two structural elements, and I'm going to fit the door between these two structural elements. If this is a huge opening, I would use the corner element, because it will be better than this rafter here. Okay, I'm going to use these two columns at the edge of the door, and now I'm going to measure the distance between this and this. Okay, it's 9 feet 10 inches. So this door, I'm going to edit type, duplicate, and this is 9 feet 10 inches door. Now the width is 9 and 10, and the height can be 7. Okay, let's do this. And now I want to insert my door here. And then on the 3D view, again, the door again is between these two structural elements, and it works well. But I can make it even more appealing. So let's work with the south elevation. Now in the south elevation, we have the door here. Okay, so this is like a frame. So I think if I can get another structural element here, it will work better. Okay, so let's do it. I'm going to create another component, model in place, framing, extrusion. In this exercise, I'm always using this option, the extrusion, the component, and this is the, yeah, so this is the structural element here, and I'm going to create a 6 by 6 horizontal beam. And now on the 3D view, oh, okay, you see, I have created this in the other. So I think if I open level 0, no, it's not there. How can I do this? From top view, I can select this, and I have to place this just in the other facade here, here, and there. Oh, it's not here for sure. Icon. Okay, I select this here and there. There you go. Now this beam is here. And in the south elevation, so this is the door. This is the structural beam. And I want like a glass here. Okay, so it's like we have this door, and we have a glass here, and then we have a wooden door there, so that we consider that everything, all this is an opening. Okay, so it's something impressive. And again, now I have to measure the width and the height of this. So in annotate, the width is 9 feet and 10 inches, and the height is 4, 3. Okay, so it's 9, 10, 4, 3. I create a new window, edit type, duplicate is 9, 10. And 4, 3. Okay, and now the height is 4 feet and 3 inches, and the width is 9 feet 10 inches. Okay, and now I can place this here. There you go. Okay, Well, I don't know if you like it or not. I like it, but you have to get used to create something special, because if you use the default families in Revit, uh, I don't know, there won't be any. The good thing in architecture is that you see something special and it's better than the default thing. If it's special but it's ugly, so I don't think it's a good idea. But Revit default families are, well, you have seen the Revit families. But if you create something special, okay, so that you are making your file or you're making your model unique. And this is always good. Okay, so if you personalize these doors and windows, it takes time, so it's better. Okay, so what is the default window that we have here? Place it, blah blah. Okay, so that takes time, but at the same time, it makes your project unique. Um, so explore these kind of things. Don't use the kind of windows I showed you. If you insert load family, the windows. Okay, so this kind of windows, everybody uses this. Well, I don't mean it's wrong, but it's like, well, it's up to you. But I never use the default elements that I have in Revit. I start with something like that. If I like this, okay, and then I try to make this family, to change this family, to make it special and to make it my own family. Okay. Anyway, it takes time, but the outcome is better than using the default elements that you can find in Revit. Okay, so at least we have, and everything is, so the measurements of this uh, window have to do with the structure that I have created. Okay, so by adapting the window to my structure, so I start creating something that it's unique. So nobody has done this because nobody has used the same structure as I had done. And this window is special because, well, we have these measurements that fit perfectly in this structure. The same thing with the door. Okay. Well, now you know how to create walls. You know how to create different windows and doors. What's next? We need a roof. Okay, because we don't have a roof here. We have the structure, but we don't have a roof. So you remember that there we created a roof in different class works. So we create architecture, roof by footprint. Okay, so we have a footprint. We define slope or we don't define slope, but I want to show you something different. We want to create a roof by extrusion. Okay, so you have a shape and you just create that roof. What is the shape? This tilted roof and the rafters that we have already created. Okay, so we're going to do this from the south elevation as well. Okay, so here on the south elevation, we have those rafters. This is the truss, this is the structural element, those are the rafters. So now we have to create the roof. Okay, and we're going to use a roof by extrusion. It's very simple, and I think it gives you a lot of opportunities to design new things. So let's, well, level 12, okay. And now you can create your own shape. We're going to do something very simple, and we're going to select a roof, let's say this 9-inch roof, okay. And we're going to follow that shape. So we're going to start here. We're going to go all the way up to this midpoint or perpendicular extension, and then we go down. Okay, if we and that's it. So that's the roof. This is the shape of the roof, and then we will extrude it. What if we do this? Well, we have created a roof, a 9-inch roof, but look at this. This is not what I want. Okay, so I'm going to edit profile. We can always edit this profile, and I'm going to create an offset, 9 inches above this one and this one. And you can create like parallel lines. So just you have to delete the old one. And now we click OK. And now it's better because we have created a 9-inch roof, and it rests just on the rafters. So this is what well, this is what I wanted, at least. And now we have this roof. Okay, so we can extend this roof to the porch, or we can leave it like this. I don't know. Well, let's try this. So where I'm going to use a hidden line, I'm going to get rid of the transparency, and I'm going to use shadows, apply, okay. Well, maybe that's a good idea, having this porch with this, or if you don't like, you don't think it's a good idea, we can always make it like this, extend the roof. Okay, but I think now we have this filling, we have the truss, we have the rafters, and then we have the opaque element of the roof. I think it's good. This front elevation. Yeah. Okay. So finally, just to explore, because we have windows, doors, we have created different windows. In this kind of structure, we always need the structural elements in the frame of the window. So I've created windows with different shapes. We can create a skylight. Okay, so imagine that we want a window here on the roof. So we can insert family, and on windows, there should be a skylight or something like that. Okay, here we have skylights, and again we have a skylight flat, round, top hung. Well, I would use a flat one. Okay, so let's insert that skylight flat. Open. Oof. Okay, I'm going to use this. So architecture window, skylight flat. And again, I can't place a skylight anywhere, so I need a roof. Okay, so I need a host, and the host is a roof. So I can place skylights. But again, if I apply transparency here, I need to make sure that my skylight matches the distance between two rafters, because otherwise, yeah, this is not acceptable because we have a skylight here and we have a rafter going through the skylight. This is nonsense. How can I do, or how can I make sure that I can align the skylight size to this? I think we need a section. Okay, so on level 0, where is my skylight? Okay, so on level 12, I can see where it is. So I'm going to use view section, and then I have a section through the skylight. I can see here section 1. Okay, so this is the skylight, those are the rafters. So I can select this, align this and this. Whoop. Constraint, there you go. We should know again the distance between two rafters. Annotate. Okay, so this distance is 2 feet 9 inches. And if we edit this type, the width, the height, well, yeah, this is difficult because this dimension 5 by 3, it's the dimension, the outside that we want to fix this. Anyway, I think this is good enough. Okay. If we were able to center this, we can always do that. I can select this grid A. So from midpoint, we go in this direction, and then we move this here. Okay, I'm centering the skylight between these two rafters. That's what I wanted to do. And now it works. Okay, so now once we have decided where is the right line, then we can copy. Here. Okay. Finally, what can we do? We can create views. Okay, so from level 0, we can create view, 3D view, camera. And if we look at this direction, okay, so now we have windows, we have skylights, and if we manage to create a good light so that we can have light entering through the skylight, that would be great. So I'm going to, okay, so this is not the right position for the sun. Let's create now inline, display options, cast shadows and ambient shadows, lightning. The ambient light you see is too dark, so if you make it lighter it will be better, and the shadows are too dark, so if you apply, yeah, we've got this, it's getting better. But if you look at the sun is in this place, so I want the sun to be there. So can I fix it? Let me see. Sun settings, still time 23, no, apply, okay, that's it. This is what I wanted. I want the sun to move in this direction and to cast shadows here. Okay, you can explore colors. And these graphic display options, especially with lighting, sun, ambient light, apply. Okay. And finally, we can try render. So here we have renders. There's something interesting, which is the rendering cloud. Okay, so if you create a render here, we can see a draft. So if we render, well, I think this is too much for today because we need to create artificial lights, because otherwise it will be too dark. Or we have exterior sun only. Yeah, so here we have exterior sun and artificial light, interior sun only. Interior sun and artificial. And this is a draft. We can have different qualities. If you select high or best, it will take hours to create a render, so be careful with that. But what I always recommend is to use a render in cloud, because if you do that render in cloud, you can keep on working with this, okay? Because if you are creating that render with the first option, you cannot work. But if you create the render in the cloud, then you can keep on working with your computer and the render is working in the cloud. So how can we do that? We can do step one. Well, this is the selected 3D view, start rendering. So let's continue. And now here you can select the options. It's a still image. So yeah, so because you can create a video that, let's say, still. The render quality, let's make it final. And the image size here, you can select this, the extra large maximum. So let's make it medium, and the exposure advanced. And I think you need credits. I mean, if you want to render in the cloud, you have to pay for it, unless you have this educational version. Okay, So in my case, I don't have to pay for it. It's one credit, and the credit means that you need an Autodesk account, and then you need to put money there. But I have done a lot of renders, and with this Kinestate version, I, I I don't have to pay for it. So let's do this, and then we can say continue in background. Okay, so you see that here it's rendering, it's working, but I can keep on working in my file. So that's very useful because this option, the render, it's not very accurate. You'll see that this result is much better. But when you are doing this, you cannot work on the file. But with this rendering cloud, you can keep on working in your model, and then you will have the render here. If you click here, you can see the render progress, and this is the cloud. Okay. So this is the barn. It's still working, and here I have all the renders that I have created in. So Revit is not the best tool for rendering, but it's good enough. I mean, it's not bad. The problem with renders is that if you want to do something that it's good, it takes a lot of time, and probably you have to use Photoshop. Okay, we are not going to explain about renderings today. I just want to see the result of this barn. 10 minutes. Well, I hope it will be less. But you can try. I mean, if this weekend you are working on this assignment, try to create a render to become familiar with this option of rendering, and see what happens. The only way to learn how to create good renders, it's about practicing and try to change. Okay, I'm going to change this light, and then you have to wait 10 minutes. Okay, so well, it's better. Now I'm going to change this material, because you can select textures, materials, but we will talk about this other day.